Let's get one thing straight. Vitamin K isn't just for your nan's bone health. You hear vitamin K and your brain probably files it under vaguely important, vaguely boring. Could be. But that's why we would be wrong. It's that silent operator holding your body together more than any overpriced supplement did. And you and your leafy green high horse. I eat spinach, I'm good. We need to talk. Vitamin K isn't just one thing. There's K1, which you do get from plants. And then there's K2, which barely shows up unless you're fermenting soybeans in a bathtub or eating natto like a deranged samurai. Now don't panic. This isn't about fear-mongering, but most people, especially on a plant-based diet, are getting bucket loads of K1 and next to zero of the K2 form, which actually helps with your bones, heart and brain stay in the game long term. And this is where all the YouTube nutrition noise gets it all wrong, because they stop at eat your greens, you'll be fine, and then completely miss the nuance. It's like telling somebody to stretch before the gym but then forgetting to tell them that form actually matters too. So we're going to dive into why both forms matter, what your body actually does with them, and how you can optimize your intake without eating a brick of natto or turning carnivore. This plant-based shouldn't be, and I hope this multivitamin does the job. This is where we're going to strip away the fluff and talk about what vitamin K actually does for the body. No wellness fairy dust, just raw function. Welcome back, legends. I'm Callum Weir, your plant-based nutritionist. Let's dive in. It's not sexy, but it is serious. So what does vitamin K actually do? So if vitamin K was a person, it wouldn't be that loud one in a gym grunting through half reps. It's the one in the background, quietly making sure blood doesn't run out your nose every time you sneeze. That guy. Clotting. That's his day job. Essential. Boring. Try living without it. But here's what the mainstream doesn't seem to tell you. K2, completely different game. It's not clocking in to patch up your blood vessels. It's the one making sure calcium goes where it's supposed to be going. Into your bones, not your arteries. You know, those things that you need not to die of a heart attack by the age of 50. Still think it's a wellness vitamin? From thrombosis and hemostasis. Stupid name for a journal. Hard to pronounce. Hate it. Found that low K2 intake correlated with increased coronary heart disease. Translation, you can eat all the kale in the world, but if you're low on K2, you're paving the road for arterial calcification. Like it's a damn DIY driveway kit. And no, your body just doesn't convert K1 into K2, like other forms and other vitamins and other minerals, like some kind of efficient machine. It does a tiny bit, but barely. The conversation around conversion is about as reliable as a PT who still thinks carbs make you fat. Most people won't be converting enough to meet the demand, especially if we're on a plant-based diet, and avoiding fermented food. I'm not here to make you scared, I'm here to make you aware. This is the point where smart plant-based eaters separate themselves from the ones that are just eating hummus and hoping. So what happens if you don't get enough? Spoiler alert, it's not just your bones. So, let's crush the myth right now. Low vitamin K doesn't mean, oh no, I might get a little brittle when I'm older. That's like saying smoking just gives you bad breath. Nah, it's deeper. Start with the bones. Vitamin K2 activates osteocalcin, the protein that shuttles calcium into the bones, like it's hauling bricks to a building site. Without K2, osteocalcin's asleep on the job. That means your bones aren't rebuilding. They're thinning out, silent osteoporosis. And then also another bit that nobody talks about is calcium isn't just sitting there politely. It'll wander around, and then it'll probably end up in your arteries. That's then calcification. And that's the same stuff heart attacks are made out of, which isn't theory. But then a 2004 Rotterdam study showed that people with higher K2 intake had 50% lower risk of arterial calcification. That's not maybe helpful. That's literally life-altering. And here's one that may hit more for the high performers. Vitamin K is now showing up in brain health research as well now. 2013 study, Frontiers of Neurology, higher levels of K1 were linked with better episodic memory in older adults. And then K2, still unpacking it, but early evidence suggests it may play a role in nerve function, protecting nerve cells and helping with mitochondrial health. So if you're walking around low in K2 and thinking, oh, I feel fine, understand this, deficiency doesn't just tap you on the shoulder. It waits quietly, compounding risk until you have a bone fracture, a coronary issue, or your brain's buffering through basic tasks. The worst part is you could be eating healthy on a plant-based diet, extremely healthy on a plant-based diet, and you could still be nowhere near optimal. So how do I fix that? How the hell do we actually fix that? How to get enough vitamin K2 on a plant-based diet without importing natto from Japan, or pretending kale is a character in your personality, or turning into a soy-fermented monk. Here's the thing, most K2 research, based on people eating liver, cheese, animal products. It's not exactly helpful if you're eating a plant-based diet. And if you are vegan, and your Gouda cashew cheese, brought from the farmer's market, isn't going to do it. You're not screwed, not even close. You just need to know where to look. So let's talk MK7. That's the form of K2 that actually stays in your body to do something long enough. Natto is king here. It's got around 1,000 micrograms of MK7 per 100 grams. That's a powerhouse. And one of the few whole food K2 sources that doesn't moo, cluck or swim. Problem is, natto tastes like disappointment. Tastes what I can only imagine. Smells like a sweaty gym kit, left in its bag by your teenage son for 3 weeks. So unless you're genuinely into slimy fermented soy, you're probably not smashing bowls of it daily. Next up, fermented food. Sauerkraut, kimchi, tempeh. Not natto level, but they actually add up. Plus they're gut friendly, and your microbiome actually uses it to produce some K2 from K1. But only if your gut's not trashed from years of caffeine abuse, stress and pretending 6 almonds is lunch. Tempeh is the most realistic win here. It's got MK7, anywhere from 20 to 40 micrograms per 100 grams, depending on the fermentation strain. Plus it's high in protein and actually edible. Wild, I know. You also want to max out K1, because your gut flora can convert some of it into K2, mainly MK4. So we're talking leafy greens, kale, chard, collard greens, spinach, broccoli. Your usual squad. Just remember the conversion's wildly inefficient. We're talking less than 10%, and that's if your health is actually decent. Which then brings us into the big dog in the room. Supplementation. If you're plant-based, serious about performance, cardiovascular health, or aging with your bones so they don't snap, like dried spaghetti, then an MK7 supplement. 100 micrograms to 200 micrograms per day. It's a good no bullshit play. Then this is where we connect the dots. Because vitamin K2 doesn't just roll solo, like it's on some nutrition ego trip. It plays back up, sets the tempo, and without it, the whole system sounds like a band where the drummers had 6 Red Bulls and forgot the set list. K2 only works if you get the band back together. So vitamin D, calcium, magnesium. Let's say you're doing everything right. Eating your leafy greens, getting some sun, getting your vitamin D3, getting your calcium, like it's a kind of insurance policy. But great, but here's the catch. Without K2, all the calcium you've been smashing, might be going to the wrong address. Think of it like this. Vitamin D, he's your Amazon Prime driver. He then delivers calcium to the bloodstream. But without the K2, that calcium then ends up in your arteries, not your bones. Vitamin K2, especially MK7, activates a protein called matrix GLA protein, MGP. MGP's job, keep calcium out your arteries. Then another protein it switches on is that osteocalcin, which shuttles that calcium into the bones and teeth, where it actually belongs. And magnesium, your electrical crew, it keeps running the wires, keeping your muscles, nerves, bones firing correctly. It helps D3 convert into an active form and supports calcium's metabolization too. So this isn't just a pick one and pray situation. It's a team sport and every nutrient matters. Neglecting K2 is kind of like turning up to a CrossFit competition with all biceps, no core. Looks impressive, but the whole structure is going to fall apart under load. So if you're plant-based and you're supplementing D3, which you probably should be, don't skip K2. Especially not if you're also consuming a ton of calcium. So if you're someone that cares about performance, health, or not just calcifying like a fossil, this combo isn't optional. Have you ever seen a high-performing athlete gas out? Not because their lungs quit, but because their joints are screaming, or their bones are taking too much load. That's normally silent sabotage. K2 is one of those hidden players that holds that line. Stronger bones, less risk of injury. Not a cute idea. That's data. 2013 study in a journal of bone and mineral metabolization. Who is naming these journals? But it showed that MK7 supplementation improved bone strength in healthy individuals, not just in older populations of those with osteoporosis. That means even in your 20s and 30s, K2 is still pulling its weight. Here's where it gets sexy. K2 also impacts cardiovascular endurance. Why? Because the more calcium that ends up where it shouldn't, the harder your heart has to work. Arterial stiffness equals less blood flow efficiency. That then equals reduced output, which then equals you sucking wind on hill sprints, while someone glides past you like a gazelle on creatine. If you're stacking your nutrition right for your training, you've probably got a D3 in the mix already. That's good, but if you're not pairing it with that K2, it's like fueling your car with premium petrol and then letting the tyres go bald. It's performance nutrition for grown-ups. And no, you don't need to be a pro athlete to give a shit. You just don't want your bones, your joints, your arteries to feel and act like that twice your age. So if you are going to look into supplementation, what is the dosage? What is the form? And what's the supplement scam filter? First off, there's no official RDI for K2. Unfortunately, we just know we need it. Yeah, disappointing, I know. The same nutrient that plays bouncer to the calcium club doesn't even get a formal invite to the nutrition labels. Classic. But here's what the science is leaning into. 100 to 200 micrograms of MK7 per day. MK7 is a longer chain version of K2. Sticks around in the system longer and actually gets into the tissues that matter. Now we're talking bones, arteries, joints. Not just flash flood in the bloodstream. MK4 is on the market. It's another form. You need milligrams of it multiple times per day for it to do anything meaningful. And it doesn't hang around. It's like trying to reheat your coffee every 10 minutes. That's MK4 energy. MK7 is that thermos you actually need. Now, don't get rinsed if your supplement doesn't say MK7. Don't buy it. It's like basically buying a protein bar with 2 grams of protein, calling it performance food. Check the label, check the dose, and make sure your MK7 And take it with fat. K2 is fat soluble. No point dry swallowing it in between sips of black coffee and thinking, job's done. It's not about megadosing, it's about consistency. Smart daily input, zero hype. Just doing the job so your bones don't tap out before your ambition does. Look, you can eat all the leafy greens you want. Smash every workout. Meditate to whole sounds while eating spirulina from a bamboo spoon. Maybe your vitamin K2 is flatlining. That calcium you're working so hard to get might not end up in your bones. It could be clogging up your arteries like a clogged sink. This isn't fringe science. This isn't some weird edge case for 90-year-olds in a nursing home. It's for people like you. People that are training hard. Eating clean and thinking you got it all covered. But missing just one of the key regulators. It's fixable. Dead easy. One smart supplement. Some fermented food. If you vibe that way, and boom. Your bones stronger. Arteries cleaner. Performance dialed. You're optimizing. And you're becoming plant-fueled. This is the whole point of smart plant-based nutrition. You don't want to just wing it and hope for the best. We play the long game, data-driven game, dialed in with no fear-mongering, no animal products, and no eat more kale chat. And if some influencer says you'll be fine without K2, cool. Fuck them. And play roulette with their bones and health. You've got higher standards than that. So YouTube does a sneaky thing where it knows you better than I do. And YouTube thinks, I'm going to enjoy this video next. Peace out, legends. See you next time. Have a good one.